Hi, it's Christy Karate Mastering the Art of Life. A lot of people come into this work, they do a one session with me, and they get some really great value. And that's really what I'm talking about today is how valuable it is to continue doing the deeper work. The other work is just kind of scratching the surface.
Yeah, I'm really happy to get a chance to do one more drawing, and I want people to know how how it's grown and how it's kind of flowed from one piece to another, and how with each new drawing we've done, I have a new chunk to think about and to go deeper with.
This was Elizabeth's original drawing that we started with. And when we do a series of 4, I start with a life design. And then we look at in future drawings, what you'll see is what's in the way from revealing this life design in your life.
So this is the shining beacon, the vision that's pulling me towards creating a joyful family camp. So I'm a parenting coach, and I love coaching parents one-on-one, but ultimately I want parents and families together to work and to grow and to transform. And this is the vision calling me to do the work. So it's got the brightness and the flow and the music and the green pathway towards it. And it's my desktop. And I have a separate copy that I pull up every morning as part of my morning rituals. And I just use it to call me and to say yes, that the work that I'm doing is it's about transforming families, and at the end of the day, it's also about transforming the world.
Absolutely. And so, one of the things I want to point out is this doesn't look literal. It is not a literal drawing of her family camp, but she described it so beautifully. And this is she's like the perfect student here because she's doing exactly what you do with the life design. And it's just like having your written vision is you need to be in it. You cannot get to this, a quote from my mentor, Mary Morris, so you can't get to your dream. You must come from it. And what that means is to be in the feeling tone of that every day. And what happens physically is that actually creates synapses in our brain that says, oh, this is me, this is me, this is me. And it's not like this is where I am going, this is me. And to be in that feeling tone. And then what happens as our brain gets that, ingrained in it, then we know exactly what steps to take and what not to take. Now, what happens when people first start setting their vision or their life design in this way is they're like, sometimes can wake up and say, oh, but that looks far away, or that's not happening, or this or that. And so this is one of the really rich parts of the work that I do, is that I help people look at if that dream is not in realization right now, it is because there are things in the way that where we're stuck. It's not because, oh, it takes time. It's not because, oh, I don't have the money. It is because we are not aligned with the belief of that. And as soon as we are, everything will shift to make that transform and take place. We looked at this little image here, and one of the things that I do is I help people see the paradigms in the work that they do. And the paradigm is not necessarily our foe. It feels like it is, but it really has something to teach us. And once we learn what it has to do to teach us, then it actually becomes our friend. Now, do you remember anything about this image, Elizabeth, that you'd like to share?
So I think of this as the gremlin. It's sort of the static which is in between. As you look at the right side of the image, where it's all sort of flowy and curly cues, that's sort of where it's beginning to work and to beginning to go. But that, a lot of the rest of the energy of it is static and like stuff in between and like yum 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 yum.
So notice that she has her answers. That's one of the things about this. It's almost like having a crystal ball that you can see into and get your answers. I don't have your answers. I didn't have Elisabeth answers. Sometimes I get some intuitive hits, but I draw intuitively, and then the image spurs something in Elisabeth that she goes, "Oh yeah, this is the answer." Now, as a professional in this arena, one of the things that I see here is that this is all kind of blocking her from the greater good up here. But this is a little impish type of gremlin, if you will. And so one of the things I do is I often put faces on certain things I think are paradigms or gremlins, because then you can talk to it. And so, like, Elisabeth has the opportunity to say, what do I need to learn from you? What are you trying to teach me? What do I need to get out of the way? And I believe that this is the next drawing that came out of that.
And I know there was a lot of thought about sort of constricted voice, and trying to find my voice.
Yeah, and I think we saw that in this next one here. And so you can see that this is an evolution. This was a real healing drawing. Can you share anything about this?
Coming from having constricted voice, it was kind of focusing on the idea of the ways in which my creativity maybe hasn't been fully expressed and has been shut down. And sort of specifically, my mother is a dancer, right? So she's the creative. And I think at some level I knew that I couldn't be her, and I couldn't be creative in the way she was. And I didn't realize that I could be creative in another way. And so that I've always felt really shut down creatively. Yeah, so one of the ahas was kind of, well, first of all, parenting is an inherently creative task, but also, coaching and creating a business and creating Joyful Family Camp. Having to kind of let go of like just some of the messaging and some of the entanglement with my mom around that.
Yeah, this work goes really deep. Now, we do sometimes uncover some past history like that, and the image can help us heal that. And so often we go in and we talk about the drawing and we do a little deeper work. That's kind of where some of this writing came up. But this does not replace therapy. If you really still have deep work to do, I encourage you to. I'm an art therapist, so I know the difference between coaching and therapy. But it is a great container to go back and say, oh, that's what's in my way. Oh, okay, then I can make a change around that. And the image can help us do that. And one of the reasons that the image works so well is because it brings from our subconscious images that we don't have words for until we see the image. And then we can dialogue and speak to the image. And what we have here is a drawing that started to emerge. Now, do you want to talk a little bit about this drawing?
So like the last idea that we talked about with this was, it's great to have the vision and the fullness of the bloom up there, but that with its weak stem and sort of floating out there in the sky sense, there's still the how do we get there, and there's still the how do we strengthen the root system and the stems in order to make sure that everything's in place to fully support it.
So you can go back and ask this image. And so as you put this in and you put a trellis, one of the things is that this is going to become more sturdy. Now, looking at this image, what is the step that you can take today? Not the big how is that ever going to happen, but what is a step I can take today in both building this strong foundation and this foundation over here?
Yeah, and those are great questions, and that is part of the Um, part of the work that you introduced right away in the first drawing that we did was what can we
Mm-hmm.
do? What step can we take? And I love how the subsequent drawings have aided in making that more concrete and more specific
Mm-hmm.
and have more depth.
So this is what happens is that we go, something's in the way here, and my guess is that it's around developing the team and a fear and a block around this part of your next journey. And so often I'll draw this and this is like perfectly where I draw little faces that say what's in the way. What is in the way? So this looks like the two things that we're looking at here, VA and social media and event planning and logistics. So which one would be which?
Um, I mean, I would keep them in the same place.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. So this one is the VA and social media. And this one is,
Camp expert.
so let's just think about that. This is roots. And what we have here is soil, right? This is all the soil that these roots are growing into. What's not working? What needs attention?
It's interesting. I've never had something called my team before. So I think there's some block on the sense of what does it mean to have my team and to lead my team, and to trust that those aren't people that I'm going to have to compromise with, in terms of my vision, because they're really there to serve me and my vision. They're really not there to necessarily serve their own agendas.
Okay, so ask this little image about that. What about taking away my creativity? What about, what am I going to lose? Am I going to lose? What does this little image right here say about that?
Yeah, I work for you. Yes.
Yes. She wouldn't have a job if she didn't work for you or he. What I see in this image is that think of this as plants, right? And this as the soil. And look at how when you have toxic soil filled with fear, you cannot create a nurturing environment. And this is why we didn't go to, oh, how do we build the stem and how do we make better leaves and how do we really address, we had to come and address this stuff first because this is what's keeping you from your growth. And my guess is that there are some other paradigms in here than people taking control, right? That I'll lose my business, blah, blah, blah. All of this is like all the nutrients that are in here are nutrients, the poisons, the toxins, if you will, that are not feeding the roots to your business. And there will be ones here. And so what I do with this now is I will scan this and I will send it to Elisabeth, and she'll get to actually be in question with these images and or book another session with me or things like that, whatever she feels her next steps are. But now we know that this is so key to the work that I do, is that it is not what's the circumstances. And so you can see, those of you watching this process, that if we would have stayed focused on the other image, we would not have gotten to the core of what's in the soil. And so we came down here and we looked at what is the foundation of what is keeping Elisabeth from her dream right now.
Yeah, the whole process is truly like peeling back the layers of the onion, and just taking another look and another look and another look.
Yeah. So, what I have to offer you is those of you watching, either the replay or this, is that I have an offering of doing what's called a Sketch Your Life session. It's $27. It's a low investment, and it is just to show you kind of where you might be stuck and how we could possibly work together. Because I don't know your answers. I can intuit through this image and this drawing process what is in your way. And then the fourth session, when I do a 4-pack, so I do a life drawing, 2 sessions of critique, what's in the way, and the fourth session is create. And we did some of that. What are the steps that you can take? And that really helps us move forward. And this works across the board. If you are having health challenges, this is a way for you to discover in you what is your next right steps. In relationships, whether it's with your children or with your community, what is in the way of you having those beautiful, healthy relationships. And one of the things I know absolutely is that the image can be trusted. The image plus you can be trusted, not the image plus me. That's what I love about this work. It's the image plus you. You have all the answers within you, and I just help people identify those and bring those into being.
First of all, $27 is just a no-brainer. Just go do it. You will have a wonderful time doing it. You will learn so much. It's just a fascinating process, and it really feels like you are being revealed. And so absolutely do that. And then I do recommend following up. Yeah, get a hold of Christy now before she realizes how much more she could be charging.
Christy's work is just amazing. I really appreciated my session with her. I think it's a really good way to get into that intuitive sense of what aspects are where I'm really coming from and what I really want. And I think we get confused. I think I get confused on what I think I want instead of what I actually want. And then things don't move because I'm not really there. Mm-hmm. So this it helps to get there. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies. I really appreciate you being here, and I look forward to serving those of you watching this.